So you and your government colleagues announcing this cut in excise duty on petrol and diesel, 20 cent per litre on petrol and 15 cent per litre on diesel. I suppose hugely significant. At any other time, the accusation on the text line today, certainly on this show, is that it's not enough. What do you say to that?
I think we should be honest with the public and say, no, it won't be enough, because we are in exceptional circumstances, and the level of price increases, it isn't possible, and it changes by the day, and it keeps changing. So I don't think you could ever do enough, Kieran, to fully protect everyone, to bring it all the way back to where it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months, 3 weeks ago. It isn't possible, but we did need to do something, and government has done this today, along with the €500 million package that we announced 3 weeks ago to help householders on their electricity bills, and along with measures done in last October's budget, because this is a crisis that has been slowly evolving in terms of higher energy prices, but which took off in the last 2 weeks because of the invasion of Ukraine. We can't, I just have to be clear and honest, we can't fully protect against all the consequences of that. I wish we could, but we went to the max of what we could do within European law, and doing it in a way that was designed to be quick, to try and help here and now by reducing the excise 20 cent a litre, as you said, on the petrol, 15 cent on the diesel. So it was the max we could do under European regulations. It will help, but it won't see a return to pump prices that we were used to for so many years. And unfortunately, the reason for that is what's happening in Ukraine.
Can we apply for a derogation to Europe from those regulations?
You can, but typically that would take months, and very unlikely to succeed, because it is basic, sensible regulations. So we did want to act fast, because there's an immediate issue. And it won't be or it isn't the only measure. We've, as I said, introduced a number of measures 3 weeks ago. We'll be coming back in a number of weeks' time, particularly looking at a number of kind of efficiency or other measures that can help people save money in other ways. So we're going to have to continue to respond in an increasingly flexible way. I think the focus will switch towards efficiency, because the international prices are outside our control. We can hope, and we'll certainly work within the European Union to try and do whatever we can to help bring them down. But there's no accounting for what's happening in Russia and Ukraine.
No.
And so in those circumstances, I think we're best to try and switch away wherever we can.
And listen, I think most people listening, I think, will absolutely appreciate the reality of the situation we find ourselves in, and Europe finds itself in terms of the squeeze on supply. At the same time, I mean, that's a kind of a fairly stark warning, if we'll call it that you've given the people. I mean, this is as far as the government can go. So do not expect us to go back to the well. 20 cent and 15 cent, that's it.
Yeah, that is unlimited, as I said, within European regulation as well. I mean, we come into
because that'll disappear like within a couple of days. And I know the argument can be made that when you're filling up your pump in a few days, it could be, or it would be 20 cent or 15 cent more expensive. But you know as well as I do, people are not going to be kind of overcome by feelings of gratitude to the government when they're paying $2.50 a litre.
And we're not. That's why I wouldn't want to over-egg it, and wouldn't want to give false promise or to kind of exaggerate beyond what it is a measure to help, and it'll be €12, the average filling of a tank, which does provide some help and some relief, but yeah, we should be upfront and honest. It's only we can only cover a fraction of what is the overall increase, because that's driven by factors outside our control. We do need, it is a signal, a message as a country that we need to double down and accelerate what we are doing anyway, which is a switch away from the use of fossil fuels. We need to do it for climate reasons, but we also need to do it for energy security reasons now. And we can and will gain from that. This won't work if it's just a hardship posting or kind of it's all about the consumer taking the hit and paying the price. I think across a variety of different areas, by making the switch away from using imported fossil fuels, we'll keep money in the country, we will create jobs, and we will improve our environment at the same time. But and that is, I suppose, just come back to that first point, keeping money in the country. I mean, what we've seen, and it's not just in Ireland, it's wider across Europe. I mean, Europe has been paying something like $350 million a day to Russia for those imported fuels. And I mean, there's a lot of talk in recent weeks. I look at America, they gave something like $350 million support to the Ukrainian government, but that's a day's transfer every day from Europe. And the more we can reduce that, the less control and hold Russia has over Europe. And the more we keep developing the alternatives, which is our own power supplies, our own renewable power supplies particularly, and convert that to electricity, which we can use in transport, we can use in heating. That will take time, but that is the response here, the best response.
I appreciate that you can't move any further on excise duty because of European rules, but there are other things you could do. Could you subsidise wholesalers? Could you offer people tax rebates? I know in Hungary they have a €1.30 price cap. Now, I don't know how Viktor Orban has been able to impose a price cap and not contravene European rules, and we're saying that the best we can do is 20 cent or we'll get a rap across the knuckles from Brussels.
We get real strength from following the European rules. We attract a huge amount of jobs and support for this country because we're seen as a country where you do follow the rule of law.